Good evening. This is Caroline Hill once again from Divine Interventions with the couch. And my very special guest on tonight is a long friend, Dr. O. I won't say his name because it's hard to pronounce, but I'm going to say Dr. Oshie. That may not be right,
I thought you're right.
but hey, all right, I got it today. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself to the viewers on today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Oshie, Infectious Disease Specialist. I've been in Palm Beach County since 2000, and I do take care of a lot of infectious diseases, including HIV, hepatitis, name it, now COVID. Do a lot of clinical trial, work in the hospital and also in the office.
All right, what made you want to become a doctor and an infectious disease doctor? I mean, you could have been a GYN, be able to look at a little nookie every now and then. You want to be an infectious disease doctor. Why?
That's actually a loaded question. I was discussing this a couple of weeks ago with someone, and when I was a freshman in college, I was supposed to be a pre-med. My major was chemistry, and I remember that was in 1982, and somebody was saying people were dying of a disease, a new disease, HIV. At the time, I said, you know what? Someday I want to find a cure to this disease because I was so struck by what was happening.
Right.
But, and then along the way, I decided I wasn't going to go to medical school. I was going to be an engineer.
Oh, okay.
Then I joined the military, and during the military stint, I said, you know what? I do want to go to medical school. So I ended up going to medical school, not thinking I was going to be an infectious disease doctor. But as time goes on during my training, I met wonderful people in the field of infectious disease. They were great mentors. They think a lot. They were very, they show empathy. And I kind of look at them, I see myself as such. So I was kind of driven towards that. And then when I finished my training in Miami, in internal medicine, and I decided I was going to get a job.
Okay.
But then I said, you know what, maybe I should do a fellowship. During that time, I was like, I'm in Miami. We see all this HIV infection. I was just so fascinated. I'm like, and I thought back to that freshman in college. I said, this is like a full circle here. Some things must be going on. So I decided, you know what, I need to do this. And I didn't look back. I mean, it's just a natural fit for me. It's a profession that allows you to think a lot. I loved, GYN. I love surgery. I love pediatrics. I love every facet of medicine. With infectious disease, you have to deal with every one of them. So if you do surgery on somebody, they get infection. So you have to take care of it. If you are OBGYN, you have a baby, you get pregnant, you get hepatitis, infectious disease is needed. So every part of medicine, at some point in time, you get an infection. So we have to be involved in everything. Since I loved everything, it was my way to do everything without actually doing it.
That's true. That is so true. That is so true. Smart man. So where are you originally from?
Japan? No, just kidding.
Really? I don't think you look like one.
I'm originally from Nigeria.
All right, Africa.
Yes.
All right. And how many languages do you know?
I speak Yoruba, which is the main language I speak where I come from, and English, and I dabble a little bit in Spanish because I was in Miami. I had to learn Spanish.
You had to learn some Spanish in Miami.
Yes.
Okay. And how many kids do you have?
I have 2.
Okay, daughters.
Daughters.
Yes. I seen the pictures from like years on up. And you're married?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to wait for this one question, but you tell me your partnership with Monarch. How is that?
Monarch.
So you really like Damien? You can tell the truth.
Damien is a good guy. I think Monarch is being a big help for us.
Yes.
When I've known you for quite a while now, and we've tried to do everything for our patients, but because we're a for-profit organization, we actually, we're limited in certain things we can do. And over the years, you refer patients to us, and we've taken care of them any which way we can. But sometimes those patients don't have the resources to do what we need to do.
Right.
So when Monarch came about, and they really, kind of filled that void. So now it doesn't matter whether the patient has insurance or no insurance, we can see that patient. And so when you, Triple H or Monarch goes out there, screen someone and find out they have STI or they need to screen for STI, we're always available. So the partnership has become very valuable, and we help Monarch, Monarch helps us, and so with three of us, Triple H, Monarch, and Triple Medical, it's really there's nothing we can't do for a patient.
And that is so true. That is so correct. Through the partnership with Monarch and all of the free HIV testing treatments, and through the community for the uninsured and the underinsured, they're able to come to your services, like you just said, and not have to go to the Department of Health or not get services at all. And do you feel within yourself as a doctor, how many individuals have not been treated because of no insurance?
Since we've established this relationship, there's no one. And I can tell you, part of the problem we have in the black community or Hispanic community is that we've always had that issue with healthcare disparity. And the reason is, they can't get access. So, you hear stories about where you have more diabetes, more hypertension, more HIV, more COVID in the community of color. And part of it is not because they're black or because they're Hispanic, it's just because they don't have access.
Right.
And either they are underinsured or have no insurance whatsoever, or they don't have access to good care. So what we've done is really that partnership has really, decreased or improved on that gap to really work on the healthcare disparity and make sure no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what your ability to pay is, you can get the best care that's available.
That's true. Now I would like for you to look in that camera that's facing you and tell individuals that's watching tonight how important it is to get tested for HIV and STIs.
I can't even say enough. When you talk about STI, if you can find out what you have, any disease, if you can diagnose that disease very early on and treat that, you have less chance of having long-term complication. So imagine if you have gonorrhea and you don't know you have it and you continue to have sex with multiple people. What that means is you are spreading that disease to other people. And if they are sleeping with somebody else, they are spreading it. If you know you have it, you can get the treatment, get it under control, and if you know you don't have anything, you can always do things to protect yourself from getting something. That's important. I mean, it's always nice to know what you have, what you don't have. HIV is not curable right now, but you can prevent HIV. Prevention is better than cure. I mean, once you can prevent something, that's a pill you can take to prevent HIV. And if you have HIV, it's always important to treat that HIV, because you can treat that HIV and keep it under control, you're unlikely to pass the virus to somebody else.
True. Now, how important it is in the black and brown community to remove that everybody feel like they're HIV negative. The men send their girlfriends or their wives to get tested, and if they come out negative, they feel they're negative as well. Is that such a true statement? Can one be positive and one be negative?
So let me see if I get that question correct. So if you have a couple and one tested negative, and they assume their partner is negative without getting tested, that would be a false statement. So if you as individual tested negative, your partner needs to be tested for several reasons. One, how do you know that individual is not sleeping with somebody else? Two, how do you know they're not infected and maybe taking medication? And it's always nice to always know to always have both of you tested, and you also want to know what you are tested for. When you go get tested, it's almost like going to Burger King, and you say, I went to Burger King and had a burger. Well, what do you have in your burger? You have tomato slice on it, you have onions. So if you go to a doctor and you say you went to get tested, if you only get tested for gonorrhea and chlamydia, if you didn't get tested for hepatitis or HIV, you may think you don't have anything. So both of you need to go together and get tested for everything, the same thing, so you know you both are clean.
Right.
That's the best thing to do. Just don't make any assumption. You can have an STI and not have any symptoms. And that's one of the things people don't realize. They think if they have something, they'll feel it. No, you don't always feel it. And that's the problem. By the time you feel it, you have complications. So you can have chlamydia for years I don't know you have it. And then all of a sudden you're trying to have a baby in the future, you can't have a baby. You may have syphilis and you don't know you have it, and then 10 years down the road, you come in with a stroke in your head from syphilis. So getting tested together, because you're not having sex by yourself. If you're sexually active with someone, both of you need to be tested.
True.
Now, if you're having sex by yourself, that's a different story. But,
As long as you ain't sharing toys and
Exactly.
other utensils.
Exactly.
Because it transmitted through fluids.
Yeah, make sure your toys is color label. Put your name on it. Don't share your toys.
True.
Keep it to yourself.
Shouldn't share.
Don't share. Sharing is not always caring.
Not with that anyway. I want to turn the table a little bit. With things that's going on today in society, Black Lives Matter. Now, we know, I see you dressed up in your scrubs or even in your suit, and they may treat you differently. But if you go home and dress down and get in some sweats and a hoodie, how do you think they would treat you if they did not know you, if you was pulled over by an officer?
I think the reality of the matter is people have stereotype in their mind. They judge you before they would know who you are. So there is a presumption that a lot of us that look like us, maybe criminals, may be up to no good. So there's always that presumption. And so this is why we tell people that Black Lives Matters. It's really a significant statement we're making. Every life matters, but if every life matters, then you can't say only white life matters. It means white, black, brown, everybody. So I think that the society, unfortunately, was based on racism. And the only way we're going to change it is to speak up and make some changes. And so we are all in it together. It's not just, these people in this zip code, that zip code.
Right.
We all have to come together and make a change and make sure it changes.
So when you see Unjustice and the officer get off, the judge overthrow things out when it comes to the officer and they don't get charged for anything, how did that make you feel?
Well, it makes me mad. It makes anyone in their right mind mad. And I think that, there are several things we have to do. I mean, there are multiple layers of things we have to do to make change. Right now, the way I look at it is this. The only way to make a change is to be involved in the system.
That's true.
So we can say we want, this and want this and want this to get done. We also have to be in that system so that we need to be the judge, we need to be the lawyer, we need to be the police officer. So that if we're in the side system, we can make the change from the inside. So in addition to saying we need to have everybody have the same access, the same right to get equal justice, equal financial freedom, we also need to realize that we need to establish the economic power and the access to those systems so we can have control, make those decisions. If you're not be in position to make those decisions, we always end up this vicious cycle. And so collectively, we have the ability to make those decisions and to be in that controlling situation. And that's something we have to keep working on or working at to get to that point.
And you have daughters and you love them, they're your hearts. And being Black females. And in this society, do you ever think, what if you get a phone call on the negative end? If something would happen, how would you handle that?
I don't really think about that. What I try to teach my kids, my daughters, is that as a Black female in this country, some people will look at you in a way. So if you look in the context of America, they might say, well, you're Black. There's some stereotype ordinarily attached to that. Being a female, there are some stereotypes. So you almost have two women against you. But the one thing that's important to you as my daughter or any other female or Black female is to have that high self-esteem.
Yes.
It's to understand your worth.
Yes.
It's to understand that you are the best at what you do. You can do anything you want to do once you have that self-confidence, I mean, they've talked to me and said, oh, by the way, somebody said this in school, this situation that, and they kind of stood up and they, said their piece because they had that confidence. I think we have to teach our kids to have that self-confidence and to be able to stand up in any situation and speak for themselves and we don't need validation from anybody.
True. That's so true.
And if we don't have that self-confidence, the system is such a way that they chip away at your confidence from start, when you're a little baby. Mm-hmm. And by the time you become an adult, a lot of these kids don't have the self-confidence. And so they just don't they don't strive, they don't think they can make it because they've been told you can, you cannot. Mm-hmm. You've been blocked that you can't do it. Mm-hmm. So I think as parents, and as ourselves, we have to constantly remind ourselves, we have to change that.
Yes.
Because we can't, we have more control over what we can do. I don't have control over the next person.
Right.
I don't have control over that person that doesn't like me, mm-hmm. but I have control over me. Mm-hmm. So I don't really care whether you like me or you don't like me, as long as you don't get in my way.
Mm. True. That is so true.
So teaching our kids that, and then if we start having that sense of confidence, mm-hmm. and then we can be able to push through the wall and make some more changes.
That's so true. That's why it's so important for voting come this November, that Absolutely. We all get out and vote, because our vote will count.
Yes.
Tell me about your research programs that you have going on, your initiatives.
Our research program, one of the reasons why we actually, I decided to bring research to Palm Beach County was that in 2000 when I first came, I realized that, I saw a couple of things. One, I saw if you had HIV, a lot of the private doctors didn't want to treat you. Mm-hmm. They didn't want you to be in the same room as the other, wealthy patients. So your only choice was to go to the health department. Mm-hmm. And then I also realized that what makes University of Miami, what makes Johns Hopkins, what made mm-hmm. Harvard the best in healthcare? Mm-hmm. The only thing that makes them different is that they're always looking to evolve, always looking for the best thing, next best treatment, mm-hmm. Innovation, and they do that by research. So every one of those places that I mentioned, the reason is they have novel therapy. There are things other people don't have.
Right.
And so I thought, okay, even though I always wanted to be in an academic center, but I also enjoyed the private life, so I decided, why don't I bring research here? Mm-hmm. Why don't we bring this same philosophy here? So I actually partner with a bunch of universities where I teach their students, their medical students, their pharmacy students. So that was the reason to bring the research in, to really get access to those therapy when everything else fails. Mm-hmm. And so since then, we really, we do the same research study they do at Hopkins and Harvard and University of Miami. We compete. We actually do better sometimes in terms of enrollment and quality data. So our goal is to say, well, if you have COVID infection, we have access. So right now we have access to treatment for COVID. So if you have COVID, you're not sick enough to be in the hospital, the same drug we use in the hospital, remdesivir, we're going to have that as outpatient through the vein or through inhalation like a nebulizer treatment. We have monoclonal antibody, which is like the antibody like plasma. So we have a lot of stuff. We have vaccine trial that's coming out. We're going to be doing treatment for HIV cure.
Right.
In probably next week or two. So there's a lot of stuff we're doing. The idea is to bring everything else that's out there, the best that science has to bring it here in Palm Beach County.
And that's a great thing you're doing. Yeah. We're getting ready to go to commercial. But the question I have for you, and I ask every man that sits on my sofa, so it is what it is. Do you have any side chicks? We'll be right back.
No side chick.
Oh. welcome back to the couch with my very special guest, Dr. Oshie. I'm asking you all to like, comment, share, and also please send me those questions for this doctor that's sitting on my sofa, okay? We want to make sure, we want to stir him up a little bit. He's a little too comfortable, okay? I don't want him comfortable. I don't like anyone comfortable on my couch, okay? I want you to move around a little bit, showing me, okay, I got him together. Oh, too late. But before the commercial, I asked you, and I told you to ask every male guy that sits on this sofa of mine, do you have any side chicks? And the reason why I asked you that, you're a nice-looking man. You know, you're a doctor, and you work all over the hospitals or whatever. And we know the nurses may try to hunt on you, you know, pull you down, you know, get your little date on or whatever. But do you have any side chicks, Dr. O?
No, I don't have a side chick.
Have you ever had any side chicks,
No,
Dr.
I don't have any side chick.
You never had any side chicks?
No.
Never, ever?
Never, ever.
Okay, I just want to know. We just want to know, you know. Facebook Live just want to know.
You know, I ask those questions from my patients, so I ask every question. So
I mean, I know you would be ready, you know, because we talk about everything. But I just want to make sure I just see you blush a little bit. but can you explain to the viewers that's watching on today, why is it so important to be adherent to your HIV medication?
You know, we do know that if you have HIV and you take your HIV medication, you're going to do well. In fact, you're going to live just as long as anybody else. You die from old age. If you don't take your medication, there are consequences. And you can get sick, you can get pneumonia, you can get meningitis. Those are the things that actually kill people. So very important that if you want to stay healthy, that you take your medication. It's like having high blood pressure. If you don't take your medication, you get a stroke. Once you get a stroke, you can't get back. You can't get it back. So you don't want to get sick. Take your medication so you're very healthy. You can live long life. And if you take your medication, you're unlikely to pass the virus to somebody else. Because if you don't take your medication like you're supposed to, your virus goes up, and you have unprotected sex, you're going to pass that virus to somebody else.
Now, let me ask you this question. For individuals who may be HIV infected, when their CD4 count drops to 200 and they classify them as full-blown AIDS, and no matter how high their CD4 count may go, do they still be classified as an AIDS patient?
Correct. So once we classify you as having AIDS, on paper, we'll still keep you classified as having AIDS. It doesn't mean that your number cannot improve. Mm-hmm. It just means on paper, and we do that for several reasons. We know that, you know, historically when we see a patient 10 years down the road, we can kind of say, okay, at some point this person, you know, immune system was so low that we need to monitor that patient very well. Mm-hmm. So we need that for CDC classification, so we can keep record of people who, when they presented, how did they present? They were present very late in the disease or very early, and also for, in terms of prophylaxis, mm-hmm. if you were to go for your medication, I know you're more likely to go down that road again.
Right. Let me ask you this question. I have an individual that may be watching this evening. This person have HIV as well. He had diabetes, and his A1C is about 10. That's very high, we know. And he feels that his CD4 cannot go up because it's the medication. Does the diabetes play any interference with that, with his HIV CD4 count?
Well, it's a complicated question because, first of all, you know, HIV will do the same thing diabetes will do to you. Meaning every complication from diabetes you can get from HIV and vice versa. So that it's almost like having two things doing the same thing to your body. Mm-hmm. So both can cause kidney disease, kidney failure, mm-hmm. Can cause neuropathy in your leg, can cause stroke, can cause heart disease. So, you know, controlling both is very important. So if you control your HIV and you don't control your diabetes, the same complication that you were trying to avoid from HIV is going to happen to you. Mm-hmm. So I think doing both simultaneously is important. When you control your HIV, you don't control your diabetes, you're more at risk for infection. If you don't control your HIV, you're at risk for infection. So there is no, you know, the trying to say, well, this is affecting this. No. Yes, if you don't take care of your diabetes, your immune system goes down. Mm-hmm. You're going to be at risk for infection. So it's important to control both at the same time. It's like trying to say if you have a fire, your house is burning, with, you know, it's in flame, and yes, someone is pouring gasoline here, someone is pouring like oil here. Mm-hmm. Both of them are going to make the house burn. Mm-hmm. So if you stop pouring one, you still pouring the other one, the house is not going to go out. The flame is not going to go out. So you got to do both. You got to take care of both.
Correct. Thank you. And I hope you hear that tonight. Now, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. I know you're married. How long you been married?
3 years and a few months.
So you're newly married, and you've been divorced earlier, right?
Correct.
I was going to ask you what kind of flavor women you like.
What kind of
Flavor women you like?
kind of flavor? I don't really have a flavor. It's really more about someone that likes the same thing that I like. And I think in relationship, I was married for 12 years before I was divorced.
What you did wrong?
It's not a matter what I did wrong. And I think in any relationship, it takes two to tango.
That's true.
So you have to have a partner that kind of likes the same, that wants the same thing.
As
so
you do.
if I love traveling, my partner doesn't like traveling, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
If I like pasta, my partner doesn't like pasta, it's not going to work. You can't go to an Italian restaurant and go eat pasta.
No.
So, but one of the things that happens when you're dating, initially, people look at attraction, physical attraction. And you do everything in your power the first few days you go on to please them. And a lot of times you're not being yourself.
And see, that's that representative you be showing, you know. That's what we call it now.
Yes.
The representative.
So you kind of, try to make him like you. And what happens is after like a few days or a few months, you start to get relaxed and you start being yourself. And when you be yourself, all of a sudden that person you go now and say, wait a minute, I didn't know that person like to pick their nose. I know that person like to do that. I can't deal with that. So that's the problem. When I met my current wife and we just talking routinely, it wasn't anything about, it was just, hey, I'm in the hospital, I'm tired, I need some coffee. She's like, can I get you some coffee? And I said, sure. That was it. We didn't talk until months later. But when we actually went on the date, we had lunch for almost 5 hours.
You think she was stalking you though?
No, I don't know.
Don't say you did. Don't say no. Think about us women. I'm a woman now.
I don't know how women think
sometimes. She was
sometimes.
stalking you. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Well, go ahead.
But no, we had lunch. We just had a conversation. And I think that the conversation was so fluid. And it wasn't, it's like we almost share lunch. It's like, that's too much food. I just share it. It wasn't anything like, oh, I had to pretend to be this on this day.
Right, you could be yourself.
We were, I was just myself, she was herself. And I think then that became easy because we didn't, it's what we saw is what you saw is what you get. And so there was no, it's like, oh, I didn't know you do that. No, I haven't changed. She hasn't changed. So if I didn't like who she was the first day, I'm, you know what I mean?
That's true. So
I think that's when I've been saying this for years. I learned this after I got married the first time around, that we have to, when you're a couple, that you should also be eager or to be able to talk about anything.
Anything, that's right.
And so if I say to you, if I'm sitting in a bar and a female comes to me and say, you know what, I really like you and I want to go to bed with you right now. Well, two things could happen. One, I say, okay, let's do it. Or I say, you know what, you're nasty, right? But what should have happened is to say, well, you know what, that's good. I like that. Let's do it. Or, you know what, I don't really like that. That's not my thing, but it's nice that you tell me. I appreciate that. We shouldn't take an insult in that. Right. And I think we're so afraid to express ourselves because we don't, I don't want to be offended. We need to, we need to be honest. We just need to say what it is. It's okay. We're talking today about, STD. People can't use the same words, sexual organs. They're so afraid to use that word. Like, see if I say something's bad going to happen.
It's going to happen.
We have sex anyway. If you have sex, you're using those tools.
Are you a freak?
Huh? That sounds like Rick James.
No, I just said, are you a freak?
That's Rick James.
Are you Rick James?
Sometimes.
Okay. Go ahead on, tell the truth.
Well, you two set you free.
That's right. This is my kind of guy right here, y'all. Y'all just don't know. That's a good thing. And you're so right.
Yes, you gotta be yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
You don't even have to worry about anything sneaking up on you at the end of the night.
Exactly. If you meet someone, you say, I have HIV. Well, I don't have HIV. Okay. I like you, but let's use protection. I say prep. It's always nice to know ahead of time. Don't lie to somebody. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Either they like it or don't like it.
That's it.
And everybody will be happy.
That is so true. Now I'm gonna switch it again. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
But I'm enjoying you tonight, Dr. O. We'll talk about it later. But I'm enjoying you tonight, I tell you. Keeping it real, though.
All right.
That's a good thing. Now, undetectable means untransmittable, right? According to CDC. But does it mean that an individual should stop using condoms?
That's a good question. So in the research that was done when this thing came about, they look at folks who are in a relationship, who are not sleeping with anybody else. So in a two-person relationship, if somebody is infected and undetectable, and if they don't use condom, they're unlikely to pass viruses to their partner.
Right.
But that's, again, if you have only two. If somebody is dipping or double dipping outside the house, or if a third person gets involved, that whole scenario changes. Because if you're undetectable now, and you go out and pick up something and you come back, now you're no longer undetectable, or your partner went out and do something, even though you're undetectable, they go sleep with somebody else, they can pick up something from something else and not from you. So in an ideal situation, two husband and wife, two male partner, two female partner, if they just stay together and not going outside, yes, even without condom, they're unlikely to pass the virus if they're taking the medication consistently and consistently undetectable. Okay. But that's, again, you have to put your trust in your partner who's infected that they are doing the right thing. Because if they go for the medication for the weekend and if they rebound, that happens. So that's what we tell people. Yes, that's what the study shows. However, you know your partner, you know yourself. You have to say, well, do I trust my partner to be 100%? Or do I want that extra protection and use condom or use PrEP? So we give patients those options.
So what is PrEP?
So PrEP is really a medication to prevent HIV infection. So the drug we used initially was Truvada. Then Gilead came out with a modified Truvada, which is Descovy, because of the toxicity that you may get from Truvada. So now Descovy is now the drug that we use the most for PrEP. So if you take it one a day consistently, you're unlikely to get HIV. That reduces your chance of contracting HIV. Okay.
And individuals need to know about that because a lot of people don't even understand what PrEP is. They don't even know about it in the black community.
Which is very sad because when you look at HIV infection affects the minority population, more than the white population. Even though we are our number in this country is about 13%. Yeah, we account for most of the HIV infection. If that's the case, we should be the one on PrEP. Because if HIV is more prominent in our neighborhood, we should use PrEP to prevent further transmission. And yet, when you look at the studies, less people, black folks, go on PrEP than white folks. So it's very important that we understand that a lot of things that happen in our neighborhood and in our community, we can change those things by designing things. So with HIV, using PrEP, I mean, with the collaboration we have with you and Monarch, we see all these young people coming in. They don't even know it. They're like 18 years old, 17 years old. Right. And they're coming in gonorrhea. I'm like, whoa. But it's a good opportunity for us to say, let's prep it up.
That's it.
Let's wrap that thing up, prevent infection.
We're getting ready to go to another commercial. I don't have any questions for you because no one haven't even sent any in. Come on Facebook. But I have a question for you. How important it is for an HIV positive person to really have that conversation with a new partner before they decide to have intercourse. We'll be right back. Welcome back once again to the couch with my very special guest, Dr. Oshie. He's given us such great information about HIV and AIDS and condom use and the medication and all of the research initiatives that he have going on right here, 2580 Suite 3, West Palm Beach. So if you ever want to have any questions or you have some questions that you may not want to ask on Facebook, you can always look him up and call this office. I think he will be available to answer.
Absolutely.
All right. The question I asked you before the break was, if there's a HIV affected individual getting ready to get into a new relationship, how would that conversation start for them telling their partner?
That's actually a great question, and I've been asked that by so many of my patients in the past. A few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, my HIV infected patient will ask me, how do I go into a relationship? How do I tell them I have HIV? So a lot of them won't even go into a relationship because they're so afraid, or they'll break a relationship up when you start to get closer to that point. But then over the years, I'll keep having this conversation. You have to be honest about it. And I think the fear that most people have is, well, if I tell you, you're just going to either, look at me differently, or hate me, or talk about in my business, everywhere. So what I used to tell people is that, like everything else, when you meet somebody for the first time, your conversation should be, hey, what is it that you like to do in life? What is it that you like to eat? What do you like to do for fun? Get to know who that person is. If that person is not the same level as you, don't like the same thing, don't even bring that thing up. If that person doesn't seem like to get the things that you get, there's no point even going to that point.
That's true.
So if you think that you can relate, you become friends, you'll be surprised. A lot of people may say, yes, I do know someone has HIV. Oh, I have HIV myself.
Right.
So they will come out and tell you. They won't judge you once you get to know the real you, once you become their friends. And I used to say that to people, and in the last 6 years or so, my patient will come to me and say, oh, I have a new partner. Oh, bring him in. And the partner will be HIV negative. We'll have the discussion. Because they started that initial discussion, they now tell them what they could do to prevent. And I know people now who are married, who are HIV positive, married to people who are not HIV positive. They know what they're doing. They know what to do. And that's probably one of the best relationships because they don't have any secrets.
Right, no secrets.
This is who I am. So having that confidence, go in there, don't let HIV be the first thing you talk about. HIV does not describe you, does not define you. If your name is John, you're John. John is not HIV.
That's right. That's true.
And so when Jane gets to know John and John gets to know Jane, and you seem to get along, then you can talk about, well, what do you think about people who have HIV? What's your feeling about that? If you knew your brother has HIV, what would you think? If that person says, then that's not the person you want to be with. If that person is receptive and say, you know what? I do have a family member that has HIV, or, I don't know anybody that has HIV, but I understand what it means, then that's a person you may want to be able to say, okay, if I have HIV, will you date me? Then, so you have to break it down. Slowly and get to know that person and see where they're coming from. And then if things seem to be going in the right direction, then you can slowly bring them up to the speed. And what I find is when you do go that route, most people, by that time, they already know who you are. They already like you. And if they don't want to be with you, they'll tell you. But they'll still be your friend.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Have that friendship.
Exactly.
Now, this question here is someone called it in, or typed it in, and they said, can a female give a positive, HIV positive male or sex without a condom?
Can a female give?
Suck his penis.
Okay.
Without a condom.
I always say that when we think about HIV, I don't want people to think just HIV. If that individual has HIV, you have to, HIV is a sexually transmitted disease. So there are other diseases you have to worry about. So let's say they have HIV, the virus is undetectable. Well, what if they have genital warts?
Right.
So if you give them head, you might not get HIV, you get warts. So you have to be mindful. You can get gonorrhea. You have to be mindful. It's not just HIV you worry about. Whether it's control or not control. If it's control, unlikely you can get something. But the problem is the other things you have to worry about. So giving head, always use a condom because you can still get other things.
And also, you just don't get gonorrhea and chlamydia in the vagina or the penis. You can get in the throat as well,
Absolutely.
right?
You can get gonorrhea in your mouth. You can get gonorrhea in your rectum. You can get chlamydia in your mouth. You can get warts in your mouth where they look like fangs. Yeah.
That ain't a pretty sight.
No, I mean, no. Let's go there.
So, do you licky licky?
Well, if you licky, you better clean it.
Go ahead on. You right about that. Got to be clean.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm asking all of you to please like, share, and please comment on this segment on tonight. And any more questions, please type them up. We will ask him about those. All right. Through your medical career, have you ever had any racial discrimination?
Wow. Let me think about that. The one instance I would say maybe 2 instances that I might recall. I think when I first moved to the building I was before this, the Waterview building. I remember the first day I moved there, and this first patient that when new location was a white guy, and he came in, and he said, "Wow, this looks very nice. This is a nice office." It's like, your old buddy back in the neighborhood must be proud of you. I'm like, what neighborhood? He's like, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. What neighborhood? So it's almost, there are different types of racism. That comment to me, I think is racist. It doesn't think it was being racist. It just made the assumption that as a black doctor, I must have come from the hood, poor neighborhood. Right. I was in drugs. Somehow I made it out.
You made it out.
And now those people are proud of me. So I thought that was racist because it is, again, grouping us as being the same. And this is why racism happens, because they already have this preconceived notion as what we're supposed to be or be doing. And when we're not in that role, they're also shocked.
Yes, they are.
And so I think that, for me, that's why I always preach self-confidence. I was being a smart ass, and I responded, and I what neighborhood, what neighborhood? I don't know what kind of neighborhood did you grow up in?
There you go.
And so it kind of, and then there's a second situation where, in my first building, where I believe, actually, the guy came into the office, and I guess when he saw it was a black doctor, he already signed people, and he left.
He
left. But I always tell people, like, you know what? I take care of everybody. So if you don't want me to take care of you, I don't take care of you either. So
right, it's a mutual feeling.
so I never take any of that personal, because, like I said, I know what I do. I know what I'm good at. I don't need validation.
No, you don't.
So if you come to me, you don't want my service, well,
so
if I'm going to be the only one that can save you, if you don't want me to save you, so be it.
Okay. It's his choice.
So be it.
Right. So I understand that you are a member of T. Leroy Jefferson Medical Society. Tell me about that society and the work that you guys do.
So yeah, I'm the immediate past president for the organization. So the organization was actually based on Dr. Jefferson. It was, back in the days when there was really no black doctors in Palm Beach County. It was the only black doctor, and the black people couldn't go to the hospital, so he will get on his bicycle and ride from neighborhood to neighborhood and provide care for black folks. So they call him the bicycle doctor, and so that's where the organization was named after him. So our goal is really to mentor children. So we go to middle school and mentor those kids to become doctors, lawyers, engineers. We go to high school. We do health fair. We do different programs. We give scholarship. We go to Belgrade and do different stuff there. So our goal is to really have professionals of color, be it dentists, ophthalmologists, social workers, nurses, to let the kids see themselves.
Right.
Because there's nothing important. There's nothing important that when you get up and look in the TV or look and see someone that looks like you're doing something great.
Something great.
Then you can see yourself. You can imagine yourself being there. And most of the things that happen in this country is that people don't see that. I grew up in a different environment. I grew up in Nigeria where the president was a black person, the doctor, my lawyer. So that's all I saw.
That's all you saw.
So I knew I could do any of those things. But here, it's different. And some people don't have that. And when you turn on TV, the only image you see of yourself is some black guy, killing somebody or being in jail.
They show all the negative things.
Correct. And I was watching Chicago PD or some NCSI, whatever.
Yes, NCSI.
2 nights ago, and I'm just watching. I'm like, really? I mean, it's like almost every black actor, every other show is always a criminal, always something. I'm like, is this all we are?
Right.
So if you're a kid growing up, that's all you see. If it's not that, is music video, calling a woman, just an half-naked woman, calling her a hoe or something. And so it's just this image that we limit to these images. And I think that becomes a problem. And so they, most of the time I say if I was a white individual, I'll probably have more people, I'll probably be on TV more.
Oh yeah, you have more prestige, yes.
Because that's what you see. But I've done a lot of stuff, since I've been in this county, but because of who I am, and the major media don't really celebrate us as much. T.R. Jefferson done a lot of stuff, more stuff than big corporations like United Way and stuff like that.
Right.
We've done a lot of good stuff for a small organization, but led by physicians only, where we, after we do our practice, we come and still, do all this manual labor and work with kids and family members. We do a lot with limited resources, and we don't get
the recognition that you deserve
at all for the organization. I mean, and I think that's part of the problem. So, but we don't do it for recognition. We do it for the good of it, for what it makes us feel good. And if we can change any kid's life with what we do, is what it's all about. And that's that kid can change other kids' life. And so that's what we do. And I think it's a best kept secret in the county.
In the county. It is so true. I want to thank all of you on tonight for tuning in to my very special guest, Dr. Oshie, and you just gave great information. I do thank you. And you held up. You held up pretty good. You used to me, so you good. But I thank all of you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. God bless. Good night.
Woo.